From soul pieces to soul peace. From soul pieces to soul peace. From soul pieces to soul peace.
What's going on, everyone? How y'all doing? When another episode of When Men Speak. This your boy Marquis. We got Kodog and we got your boy Haywood. So real quick, we all know that we're going to continue the topic that we had last week, which is striving for greatness while mentally unstable. Of course, our two other guys want to hear Kodog and Chancey was here last week. So real quick, what did you guys? I would say give us 15 seconds of what you guys thought about on the topic and what you thought about the episode from last week.
All right. So wasn't expecting that question. But I thought it was a good session, a good topic to talk about based on the most recent events that we've all, witnessed displayed globally. But I think it's an important topic to talk about and to discuss because I think it's something that we all face as men. So definitely agree that we want to continue this topic.
Yeah, I'm just going to be in full agreement with that.
Okay. So, all right. I want to share something that happened to me last week that I talked to Chancey about in reference to this topic, strive for greatness while mentally unstable. All right. So, what happened is last week, well, actually, yeah, it was about 2 weeks ago. Was it? Yeah. Actually, last Tuesday this happened. But leading up to last Tuesday, which was a week ago, leading up to last Tuesday, I had a very, very busy week. And my week, it consisted of me taking the trip to Georgia to pick up my grandfather. And so when I went to pick him up, of course, that was a like an hour trip. He lives like 5 hours away from where I live. And I went to pick him up. And that same day we came back home, which was actually that was that Monday prior to that. We came back home and he came to my house and I just basically just spent time with him. All he wanted to do was ride around because he's actually used to live here in the Florida area. He wanted to ride around and just, share things with me. So this whole time for that whole week, we was in each other's space, and I was pouring into him. I was constantly pouring into him with the hospitality, with just making sure he was good. And the environment that was created for him, it was really healing and life changing for him. During that week, being that I poured into him, and that was an additional responsibility for me, I still had to do my coaching for my track club. I still had to make sure that I would get my son from school and stuff like that. And so that week, like I said, was pretty busy. That next weekend came up, and he was actually able to have to witness his grandson, which is my son, run track. That's something that he always wanted to do. He saw the videos and all that stuff, and he was very amazed by my son through the videos. And so when he was at the track meet, he was like, "Oh my God!" So he really had a great experience with us. So during this track meet, I'm coaching and helping coach what I think we got like 40 kids on the track club. So I'm moving around, my son doing his thing and doing the meet on Sunday because he made the finals. He passed the prelims on Saturdays, and then on Sunday he had his finals. He made it to the finals in all three events. So while he was running 100, of course, me and him talked, and I was like, "Hey, how you feeling?" Normally he's pretty good at gauging his own body, and knows how when to tell back or when to decide not to run. So I trusted him with that, and I was like, "Hey, look, how you feeling?" He was like, "I'm good." I told him, "Hey, you need to idle back a little bit. You know what I'm saying? If you're not feeling too well." He was like, "Okay, Dad, I got this." So lo and behold, he goes out there and give 100%. And fractures in them, I would say like the last 20 meters of the 100 meter, he actually hit. I didn't know anything about it. I'm still coaching all these other kids, trying to make sure they they're registered in and checked in for their event. And so when I get wind of it, I run, go see how he's doing. I comfort him because you can tell mentally he ain't in a good space. I give him a hug, let him know, hey son, hey, everything gonna be all right. It's okay. Everything gonna be fine. I kissed him on the forehead. You can tell that he was really concerned. He was disappointed because he really wanted to run with his team, and he was kind of fearful what the future was gonna bring. And he started crying a little bit. So I went over and kept doing what I need to do, tried to do what I need to do as a father, but I still got responsibility with the team. So I'm with the team, making sure everything good. End up sending my son to urgent care. They said he fractured his hip. He's on crutches. Now, mind you, I got all this going on, and my anxiety is crazy right now. Cause in my mind, I'm like, man. So I know God done gave my son the gift, and I know what God says about my son. But now I felt like I was responsible for all this happening because I could have pulled him. So I got the weight of that on me, the responsibility of trying to make sure, and of being a good steward of what God has given me. I'm very gracious. My son, I know everybody say this son special or whatever, but my son has been gifted to run. You know what I'm saying? This is the gift that God has given him, and he's been soaring in that gift. And I'm like, am I the reason why this is happening? Because I didn't pull him like I felt like I should have and let him make the decision. I got that going on. And so I'm like really down on myself, and I'm really trying to see how I could have prevented that. On top of that, I got a club that I'm responsible for coaching. So all that happens. He didn't finish running. The track meet is over. We come back home. And we come back home on that Sunday. And while we're home, my granddad said, "Hey, he wants to go back." My granddad prayed over my son. Monday we ended up going back to last Monday we ended up going back to Georgia. I took him to Georgia, and I stayed there overnight because it was a long trip. I stayed at my mom's house. Got up at 3 o'clock. I barely had sleep during this whole week because I'm pointing to my granddad. We getting up early in the morning. We going out doing stuff. And weekend, I'm pouring out into the track club. I'm trying to be a father to my son. I'm trying to be a good steward of everything God has given me. So my return home after dropping my grandfather off, I got up at 3 in the morning because my son that Tuesday had to go to what is the sports orthopedic. So we need to check here to make sure that what they said at urgent care was good. So on my way back, I'm riding and I got time because I'm supposed to make sure that he get there because the wife is working. So I'm on my way back. I decide, okay, I got some time. I need to decompress. I need to get my mind right so I can be in a good space to support. You know what I'm saying? And be the steward that I am of what God has blessed me with. So I stopped an hour away. This is about 2 hours before I needed to really be home. I stopped an hour away. I went to Cracker Barrel. I sat there and got some much needed. I got some much needed meditation time. Much needed time to be poured into. Right. So I'm where I need to be. I'm in a good space. I'm just good. And so I as a matter of fact, I was talking to Chancey before I went into I was on 2 phone calls. I was on the phone with Chancey right before I got out of the car and went into Cracker Barrel. And then I think it was my mom or my grandfather called me. And so I hung up my grandfather. I told Chancey, hey man, I'm about to walk in here and get me something to eat. I'ma holler at you later. And so because I had so many things going on in my hand, right? I mess around. I got an old hoop, y'all. So you got, I ain't got the key for, you got to manually unlock this thing. You know what I'm saying? My hoop, you got to manually unlock this thing with the key at the door and all this, right? So I didn't take the doggone key out there and listen. And I get out the car, hang up with Chess and lock the door. And I just walked in the Cracker Barrel. Because it's a normal thing for me to get my keys out and put in a pocket. That just happens. But this time it did. So I was in there enjoying myself, drinking my coffee, having good conversations. And an hour, I'm like, okay, it's about an hour now. It's gonna take me out. Let me get out. Let me leave. So I go and I try to open the car, man. I mean, I look for my keys. I ain't got the keys. I look in the car, the key in the ignition. And I'm like, oh man. I'm like, oh my God. I'm an hour away. I got this responsibility. My son need me mentally and that physically. My family, you know what I'm saying, is going through. The wife having a hard time processing. And this is my responsibility to be there. So I'm looking, just trying to see how. I'm thinking about busting the window, man. I'm like, man, I got to bust the window. Even if I'm a little late, I got to get there. You know what I'm saying? So I say I'm looking around about 15 minutes, trying to get in the car, seeing what I'm gonna do. Call AAA. AAA ain't gonna be for an hour and a half. I ain't got an hour and a half because it's an hour trip to get where I gotta go. I'm like, I can't do this. So what I'm gonna do? So some people saw that that's what I was doing, and they asked, do I need some help? Where do I live? And I told them I lived an hour away, and lo and behold, somebody was going in that direction. And so I was able to get the ride, come home. I ain't letting nobody know. I got a spare key at the house. So I'm working behind the scenes to make sure nothing is thrown off, nobody stressed about anything. Cause at this point, I don't want to hear nothing from nobody. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear nothing from nobody. I'm already down on myself about what I'm just trying to make sure I'm on time for Junior. And he'll you know what I'm saying, to do what I need to do. Man, my spare key was home. The wife would get to the house. We take her car to the appointment. Get to the appointment. I'm working behind the scenes to make sure I got a ride. I'm making sure that I got the spare key. But lo and behold, the spare key ain't nowhere around where I normally have it. And I'm like, man, I don't want her to know about this. I don't need her to know because I don't need to hear nothing. I got it all together. I just need the spare key so I can go get the car and come home. Bro, I ended up having asking her for the spare key after my son's appointment. And of course, we found out, same thing that the urgent care said, that my son had a fracture. It was going to take him 4 weeks to heal before he can do anything. And then 2 weeks before he can go into physical therapy. And so once we find all this out, I'm adjusting. The only thing that I need, I got my right to go get my car. Only thing I need is a spare key. So I asked the wife, I'm like, hey, you know where the spare key to the car is? She was like, yeah, why you need the key to the car? I said, I locked the keys in the car. so I gotta, you know what I'm saying, go back. And then here we go. Everything that I don't need at this moment, right? Here we go. I'm like, what are we gonna do? How, you know what I'm saying? I'm right here. We right here. We might as well just go. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, we don't just need to go. Everybody done had a rough day. I got this. I'm not gonna inconvenience everybody. We straight. All I need is the spare key. I can take care of everything else. We get there, she say, just go. Initially, I decided to go ahead and drive the car with everybody in the car to go get it. But the traffic was bad. And then also, I needed to be in my own space. I didn't need, you know what I'm saying, that energy though. So what I did was I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do this later. And I brought them home. On our way home, right? Wife was, telling me how she feel, all you had to do is blah, 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 blah. I said, look, only thing I was focused on is making sure that I was here to fulfill my responsibility. It don't matter how, I got it. Don't worry about it. So it got to the point where I kept hearing her talk, right? And I got so frustrated, bro, that I kind of lost myself. I lost myself to the point, man. I've had out of body experiences in my life. They were spiritual. I've had spiritual out of body experiences in my life. But bro, I ain't never had nothing like this before. I was on freaking co-pilot driving. My mind locked into a place, bro. I was in co-pilot driving, just trying to, and I was conscious. I don't know how to. It was like an out of body experience. I can't even explain it to y'all, man. I was conscious, and I started thinking. I seen a cloud, and I started like, you know how a person that's having a seizure, or a person that is mentally disabled, how they would just stay off somewhere, or somebody, they say that crazy people do this, they just stay out like this, and you look over like, you know what I'm saying, you all right. This how I was under the steering wheel. I was just on co-pilot. I don't know how I was still driving. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. And then in my mind, I'm like, I just got to get them home safe. I just got to get them home safe. And I was focusing on things, and my eyes were so fixated on certain things, and my mind was going places. I looked at the cloud and was feeling like, I wonder how to feel to be in that cloud, floating in the cloud, and not being here right now. I'm talking about spiritually. I'm looking and driving, and again, this is an out of body experience, and I'm like, I feel like in this anger, I feel like just running the car into this building right now. But the only thing that was keeping me from doing any of this stuff was my family. And I thought about so many things concerning suicide at this moment, but the only thing that kept me is your family. Only thing that kept me is keep them safe. You're a protector. But for myself, and I was going in, their life might be better without me. See what I'm saying? Man, you so stupid. How could that happen? And where do a lot of this stuff stem from? Because I forget little things sometimes with PTSD, and I feel like I'm inconveniencing people. Things that I should know, things that like that's easy for a lot of people. When I get these clustered issues and forget little things, and then I'm thinking the individual that took me, that was so gracious, bring me home. I'm like, I'm inconveniencing. You know what I'm saying? I apologize for my mistake, causing you me to inconvenience you. Something just so simple. And I started to think about my boy that committed suicide in the mind frame that he was in at that moment. And I was like, man, one, once I got home, I'm gonna tell you, I was so in the zone. Once I got home in park, I hadn't had a seizure in a long, long time. Once I got home in park, my arms just dropped like this. And I was just staring. My son was just sitting there looking like, man. And he just gave me a hug. I couldn't even hug him. It was like my whole body shut down on me. My wife came to the door and said, "You gonna get out?" I couldn't talk. I couldn't talk. Nothing, man. And I was just sitting there in the daze for about 45 minutes. And the only thing I kept saying, even when I was drowning, Lord, you gotta help me. Lord, you gotta help me. I'm about to lose my mind. Lord, you gotta help me. That's it. And after that, I feel like once I slowly came to, slowly came to where I was able to talk, to where I was able to move, and my brain was able to function. And I said, man, I think I might need to take myself in to the hospital for a couple of days to the mental ward. And then I started thinking about this. I actually thought about doing it this week, but I started thinking about I'm like, man, I got an obligation with the When Men Speak. So I need it if I need to do it this week, but I need to do something. That's it. What are y'all thoughts? And this is y'all first time hearing this, so
Yeah, because you ain't tell me all that when we talk. Lord Jesus, I got a lot of stuff that I wrote down, but I'm gonna let Kodog jump off first though.
Well, when you first started, in my mind, I saw a balloon, and everything you were saying, every situation, that balloon got bigger and bigger and bigger until it just popped. And another thing I saw in my mind was the word center, where you got all this pressure on you. You know, the man is naturally designed to be the hunter gatherer, to go out and provide, to go out and protect and whatnot, to be the presence. But it just looked like you didn't have something that you can go to the way you can get certain things off. You just let it pile up to where that balloon popped, and when it popped, you had no control over the balloon itself because the pieces are all over the floor at this point. So I just look at management, situation management, emotional management, psychological management. Period, because you were moving so many different pieces, and you didn't find a place where you can actually go and breathe after every situation. So I just look at that you took too much on, and you're trying to do too much. Be too bullheaded and do it all without any help or any assistance, because you're trying to you're trying to protect the bottom line. You're trying to make sure that you don't inconvenience everybody else, but you're taking on all this stuff on yourself unnecessarily. So I just look at being a situation where you got to manage every situation better, and have something you can go to where you can actually digress after an emotional encounter or something. You have to have somewhere to go and release that energy, because if not, it's going to keep piling on, and it's going to bust that balloon every time, and you're going to feel like you're crazy.
Oh man. Um,
I feel like I was going crazy. I ain't never ever been in that space. But I will say I had a conversation maybe a week before that, and I said to this individual, I was like, I feel like I'm going crazy. I don't know what was going on, but I said that. Go ahead, Chance.
um, y'all can hear me pretty good. All right. Certainly agree with what Corey said about management. That's very important. The other part is, I think so many people deal with this very same thing on different levels. But the beauty in what you just described to us is the fact that you're able to recognize that things are out of control. You're able to recognize that you needed help. You said when you were driving, you was like, Lord, you got to help me. Lord, you got to help me. Some people don't get to that place or that space to where they can even realize that they in need of help. Here's the other piece. When we talk about relationship, and this is for couples and singles, because I know we have an audience that have both. Um, Having someone in your life that can identify when we're in that space and help you through it when you can't seemingly help yourself. I can't tell you the number of times that I've been in that space, um, especially when I first came back and was going through this PTSD stuff and TBI stuff, man. And my wife was able to see the space I was in, and she was able to help me come out of that space. And here's what I want to tell our listeners is that, especially if you're in a relationship, sometimes it's important, well, not sometimes, it's important for even your partner to go get help to help you. So it's not just about the person who has the dysfunction or the situation going on who needs help. But if you're in a relationship with someone, sometimes you need help on how to deal with them and how to help them out of that space when they get there. Because initially, when I was having these moments, man, my wife didn't know what to do except like Chance, you okay? You okay? Chance, you okay? So she started going with me to my therapist and learning practical ways on how to pull me out of that space. You know what I mean? So that I can function again. So you don't end up sitting there for 40 minutes, 45 minutes trying to get yourself together. Um, so it's just as important, just as vital for your spouse to get the necessary help and assistance needed to help you when we get in that space. Because truth of the matter, just like we talked about last night, Sunday when we all got together, you know, life happens, man. Life is going to happen to us no matter where you are in your life. It's going to happen, and there's no getting around life happening to us. But what's important is how we respond when it does, and the difference maker is if we are equipped with the tools that we need when life does happen. I think that's what separates people from going over the edge and committing suicide and going down that hole of despair and dysfunction and depression, and those who are able to come out of it on the other side and be able to live to tell the story and be a blessing to somebody else. I think that's the
Well,
difference.
why you say they able to? Why did you say they was able to again to come out of?
When you have when you're equipped with the resources that you need to help you in that space to come out of those situations. Some people don't have the resources. They don't have the education and the knowledge and the tools that you get from therapy, from counseling, from having accountability partners and all those things that we have. You know what I mean? I can call you. I can call Corey. You know, I can call other folks in my life. I can call my therapist. You know, everybody don't have that
Right,
resource.
and that's outside of right. That's outside of, like you said, that's outside of being in a relationship. I mean, a partnership as far as marriage, because many people are single and they need people, you know, in their life or in their circle to be able to, just like you said, us, we're outside of your marriage and we're available to you.
I think the biggest thing, like when I said the word center is personal. Because what if all the people that are in your circle are not available? And it has to be you have to seek this strength and you have to seek this solace. You know, of course, you know, we're spiritual. We can pray and we can go into a prayer space and we can get back grounded and something. God is going to show us something to remind us, hey, we need you here on this earth, in this earthly realm, so we can, you know, continue to glorify the kingdom. So of course we think like that, but I think across the board, like just listen to some of the situations, it's like when you recognize you reached out to God, you verbally you recognize, and I think we all have to have this personal growth thing to where we recognize, hey, I'm not so good right now, and then assess why am I not so good right now, and then that's when you know you can gather yourself until your resources become available because it might it might take just you being able to get back to center until your people become available, because what happens if they don't pick up the phone the whole day? You got to have some kind of way to manage those emotional and those breakdowns, and it's hard, it's challenging, trust me, because I had a breakdown last night. So I'm not up here just saying it. I had a breakdown last night myself. So in the midst of that breakdown, you know, that's when the enemy hit me. You know what? You know, this is exactly, you know, what you always thinking. You know, people don't care about you, and you're dealing with this by yourself. Where your people at now? And then the pride kicked in because I could have reached out to one of you two last night. I didn't. Pride kicked in. It's late. I ain't trying to trouble nobody. You know, I got this, and boohoo crying. I'm 6'4", 215. Boohoo crying on the floor. Got through it. So when we look at the title, "Striving for Greatness While Mentally Unstable," I know that I have people here that I'm a vessel for. I'm the in between, and I have people here that are counting on me. That's what keeps me, from pulling a Will Smith and going on stage and slapping somebody. That's what keeps me somewhat grounded. It's challenging because you're tested daily, but at least we can sit here and put ourselves out there for people to understand that it's an ongoing thing. The road to success is always under construction. It's never done.
You know, the thing that y'all say is like when you say sinner, and then Chance was saying just being aware of whatever. I think about my battle buddy that committed suicide. He knew God. You know what I'm saying? He had a relationship with God, but he struggled. And at that moment, that's what I was thinking about. I'm like, how can I be thinking about something that he did and he actually was successful in committing suicide, right? And I could never fathom that. But then now I'm in this space, and then I didn't think I was gonna be able to come out of it. When I tell you the look and the conscience on my face, I'm telling you, man, my eyes were like this, and I'm just staring like I'm outside of myself. And I could see again, it was an out of body experience, but I was kind of sort of still conscious, and I was like, oh my God, this is how people just end it all. This is how people just end it all. Because remember, all of us don't have the same mental fortitude. You understand? I could have just been still like, other than in my mind, well, you're a protector. And I thought about everybody. I thought about the people that are important to me. You know what I'm saying? I thought about, of course, my son and wife was in the car. I thought of, man, you're protected. That was the number one thing. You're protected. You're protected. That kept saying, you're protected. And they was with me. And then I started thinking about, and when I was saying every time I was countering it, every time it was saying, I was saying maybe this person be better without me. Maybe they'll be happier. You know what I'm saying? That I ain't here. See what I'm saying? I can't keep dealing with this. I don't want to keep going back and forth with people. See what you do? You more burden than anything. Like all these things will happen, and I can see if you yield to it that it's over, man. You get to that point, man. I'm talking about you done just elevated a month, and you got an out-body experience like, oh, I'm ready to go. If it felt, I'm being honest, it felt so free, and that's the scary part about it.
Man, this is such a great conversation. Um, I know the folks listening is enjoying this one, but it's so real. Boy, it's almost like you talking about me because I went through the same. I mean, I've been right there in that place, man. So check this, and I definitely don't want to. We're not trying to beat nobody over the head with the Bible or nothing like this, but this is where, for me anyway, when I was in that space, how this is what kept me from going overboard or from going all the way. I kept hearing uh, scriptures ringing in my ears. Uh, it's like God was reminding me of who I was throughout that ordeal. You know, greater is He that lives in me than he that is in the world. Um, for I have not given you the spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. All these scriptures just kept ringing in my head, man, and I just kept repeating those things over and over to myself, and playing music that would lift me up, as opposed to pull me down, because music is powerful. Music has the ability, unlike anything else, to to get into our psyche without your permission. You ever wonder why our kids, especially, they're able to, and even we did. Think about it when we was younger. You can recite a song from start to finish. I mean, verbatim from start to finish, and you like, how in the world? Well, because when I find my son, he used to sleep with his headphones on, playing this music. He sleep now, but the headphones on, and so we're able to. Music is able to get into our psyche without your permission. So you can play that music over and over in your head and on your earphones, even while you're sleeping, and you're able to retain it to the point where you got this music, you know this song over, you got it verbatim. Music is powerful. That's why that's one of the enemy's greatest weapons. Think about who he was when he was in heaven. Lucifer was the prince of the music. That was his job in heaven. He didn't lose that job because he got kicked out of heaven. That's still one of his go-to weapons to use against us. We got to be mindful of that. So music was big for me, playing worship music and playing songs that lift me up out of that space and to help me through those times in my life. But man, I just, when you just was talking about where you were in the space that you was in, man, it's almost like I was sitting there with you, because it's so real when you're in it, man. And like, that's why that battle is so important between the flesh and the spirit, and what we feed is what grows. And so it doesn't matter that God. If you're subjecting yourself to stuff that isn't building you up and encouraging you and pushing you to striving for greatness while mentally unstable, if you ain't in a good mental space, God or no God, man, listen, you can go there, and it's just like you described. It can happen just like that. It just matters what mental space you're in.